Today, the Holy Spirit wants to speak directly to those doubts with a resounding, undeniable yes. That deep knowing you felt was absolutely real, and the fulfillment of that promise is currently underway. I'm not saying they'll text you in the next 5 minutes, but I need you to grasp this vital truth. In the realm of the invisible, God has already set the gears in motion. The heavenly machinery has been activated. That person's heart is already undergoing a profound and necessary preparation. What looks distant, silent, and absent to your human senses is, in fact, incredibly near. It's a matter of focusing on what really matters, as the Bible reminds us in 2 Corinthians 4:18. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen, since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. While you look around and observe nothing but silence, distance, and absence, rest assured that God is deeply, actively working in the invisible space between you. And the work He is doing right now is not fleeting or superficial, it is eternal. It's a deep foundational transformation designed to ensure that when your reunion happens, it will be solid, lasting, and able to withstand the test of time. Here is the exciting part. This work is entering its final stages. You might already be sensing the shift. In recent days, perhaps that person has been occupying your thoughts more frequently. You wake up, and their memory is right there. You're absorbed in a completely unrelated task, and suddenly, a specific memory of them surfaces. Or maybe you hear a song on the radio that was yours, a song you weren't looking for, or a mutual friend mentions their name entirely out of the blue. These instances are not random coincidences you're simply making meaning of. They are spiritual clues, echoes of God's movement. When God is preparing to bring two people back together, people He deliberately separated for a period of healing and preparation, He begins dropping these signs. He starts whispering to both hearts simultaneously. And what you are feeling, that strong, undeniable internal tug, there's an extremely high probability that they are experiencing it too, on their side of the journey. It's crucial to understand the layered nature of God's process. He orchestrates things in specific, sequential steps. The first layer was all about your healing. God needed this time to reveal who you truly are, independent of that relationship. He was determined to teach you to anchor your entire identity in Him, not in the validation of another human being. He used this separation to strengthen and fortify areas of your life that were once fragile or dependent. And you have certainly walked through that process. Take a moment to genuinely look back. You are definitively not the same person you were when the separation first occurred. The second layer is focused on their healing. This is the layer you cannot see, which is often the hardest part for you to trust. However, know this: God is working on that person's heart with the same intensity and faithfulness He applied to yours. He is breaking down emotional resistances and stubborn walls you can't even begin to imagine. He is healing deep-seated childhood wounds that made it impossible for them to commit fully and healthily before. He is diligently maturing their capacity to give and receive love in a stable, permanent way. The third layer is dedicated to preparing the ground. God is meticulously removing obstacles that were invisible to you but were blocking the path. He's closing doors that needed to be shut permanently and realigning circumstances, people, and timing. He is orchestrating seemingly casual encounters that are, in fact, entirely divine in origin. Think of this as the cosmic stage crew setting everything up for the grand finale. Nothing is left to chance. Every small detail is being put into its perfect place. And the fourth layer, the one you are feeling the energy of right now, is convergence. This is the magnificent moment when all the previous layers collide. It's when the deep internal work completed in you, the transformative internal work finished in them, and the external realignment of all circumstances finally meet at the precise, perfect point God intended from the very beginning. You are standing in that fourth layer right now. That is why you are experiencing this profound, unmistakable movement in your spirit, the peace mixed with anticipation. If you study Scripture, you'll see a recurring pattern whenever God is preparing to do something monumental and new. First, He leads His people into the wilderness, and then He leads them into the promised land. Moses spent 4 decades in the desert before he could lead the Israelites. David was anointed king, yet he spent years running and hiding before he finally took the throne. Even Paul, after his powerful conversion, retreated to Arabia for 3 years before beginning his incredible ministry. The wilderness is never the final destination. It is always the crucial preparation for something exponentially greater. You have been in your own wilderness of separation, a season of lonely waiting, and a time of intense uncertainty. But every wilderness, when orchestrated by God, has a clear expiration date, and yours is rapidly approaching its end. The prophet Isaiah declares in 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." God isn't just taking you out of the wilderness. He is doing a new thing in the middle of it. He is creating paths where there was only dry sand, and making rivers spring up where there was nothing but thirst. And here's the wonderful result. When you emerge, you will not be the same person who walked in. You will come out transformed, mature, and perfectly prepared. Likewise, the person who meets you on the other side of this journey is not the one who left you. It is the transformed, healed, and ready version that God has been diligently working on throughout this entire period of separation. This gives you a firm basis for trust. Proverbs 21:1 assures us, "In the Lord's hand, the king's heart is a stream of water that he channels toward all who please him." God holds ultimate authority over all hearts. He doesn't coerce or manipulate, but he knows exactly how to touch, how to soften, and how to bring crystal clear clarity where there was only confusion or resistance. And right now, he is gently, persistently inclining that person's heart back toward you. They may not fully comprehend the new stirrings they're feeling. They might even be attempting to resist it, or be afraid of being hurt again. But God's touch is both persistent and infinitely gentle. When he has decided the time is right for a reunion, nothing can stand in his way for long. The silence will break, and you will not need to force a single thing to make it happen. You won't need to engineer accidental meetings or send cryptic, indirect messages across social media. When God chooses to move, he does so with natural authority and beautiful flow. The door will simply open. The conversation will naturally begin, and it will flow in a manner so undeniable that you will know in the deepest part of your spirit. This is God acting. Let's look at a powerful biblical example that will cement this certainty and peace in your heart. Think of the story of Abigail, who was married to a foolish, harsh man named Nabal. Nabal was rich, but extremely proud and cruel. Abigail, however, was a woman of profound wisdom, kindness, and faith. David, who had already been anointed king but was not yet on the throne, respectfully asked Nabal for supplies. Nabal humiliated David and sent him away empty-handed. David was deeply offended and decided to take his men and destroy Nabal and everything he owned. But Abigail heard what was happening, and with incredible wisdom and courage, she acted swiftly. She went to meet David, brought provisions, bowed before him, and bravely asked for forgiveness for her husband's immense error. Her words were so full of faith and godly wisdom that David immediately stopped. He blessed her and declared, as recorded in 1 Samuel 25:32, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of Israel, who has sent you today to meet me." Abigail returned home, and just 10 days later, God sovereignly removed Nabal from the story. When David learned this, he immediately sent messengers to bring Abigail to him and make her his wife. Notice the essential lesson. David didn't fight for Abigail. He didn't force the situation or manipulate events. God prepared everything, and at the precise moment, brought about the reunion that had been written for them all along. That is the exact message for your life right now. You do not need to exhaust yourself trying to make this reunion occur. God is masterfully moving all the right pieces at the perfect time. If there is anything still in the way, fear, stubborn pride, confusion, or physical distance, God knows precisely how to remove it with grace, wisdom, and impeccable timing. You don't need to fret or lose sleep. You don't need to invent elaborate schemes. Your part is simply to live in peace and trust. God's part is to execute the reunion, and he is working on it now. Habakkuk 2:3 gives us a stunning promise. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Notice the profound certainty of the words, will certainly come and will not delay. This is not a vague possibility. It is a certainty. When God decrees certainty, nothing in this world can void it. Your reunion is not a maybe, it is a heavenly decree already in progress and now entering its final, compelling stages. So, as you wait with this newfound peace, not with desperate anxiety, but with quiet, solid confidence, I want you to recognize another vital point. When God facilitates a reunion, He never returns things to the way they were. He brings them back transformed. Both of you have been through an intense process. The separation was painful, yes, but it was absolutely not in vain. God utilized this time to heal old emotional wounds, to break unhelpful patterns, and to deeply mature your characters. He was preparing both of you for a union that will not repeat the failures of the past. When you finally reunite, it will not be like before. It will be immeasurably better, more mature, healthier, and more deeply anchored in God. I know the wait has been tough. You've had moments of looking in the mirror and wondering if you truly deserve this kind of love, or if you're prepared enough to be different this time around. That fear of repeating old mistakes is understandable, but I must tell you, there is a path to the transformation you so desperately desire. A clear path that helps you heal the remaining wounds, fully recognize your immense worth, and completely prepare yourself to both receive and sustain the genuine, lasting love God has promised. I have poured great care into preparing something to help you on this journey. It's a resource mentioned in the first pinned comment of this video. If your heart is genuinely crying out for this transformation, you will know immediately that it is meant for you. And let me give you 3 clear ways you will know that this reunion is truly God's work. First, it will flow naturally. You won't have to force conversations or contrive excuses to meet. Circumstances will align so effortlessly that you will instantly recognize God's hand in it. It won't feel complicated. It will be simple at the exact right time. Second, there will be a deep and abiding peace. Not a panicked feeling of, I need this to happen now, but a quiet certainty that this is right and coming at the perfect moment. Where there is true peace, God's presence resides, and all relationships ordained by Him carry peace as their trademark. Third, you will realize you have truly changed. You are no longer the same people who separated. You have grown, matured, and learned profound lessons. This genuine transformation will be the clearest proof that God was working all along, and now you are ready to build something that will last. Mark 10:9 powerfully declares, "Therefore what God has joined together, let no one separate." If God confirmed a union deep in your spirit, and you know in your heart if that confirmation was true, then no amount of time, distance, or obstacle can permanently cancel what He has decreed. The separation was temporary. The reunion is what was written from the beginning. Now you may be wrestling with the thought, what if they've moved on? What if they're with someone else? What if I'm forgotten? Let me give you peace on this. When God writes 2 names together in His eternal plan, human timing or temporary situations cannot erase that writing. Remember Abigail. She was married to Nabal, yet when God's time arrived, the way was opened for her to be with the one she was always meant to be with. God does not violate free will. He simply allows events to follow their intended course, and at the perfect moment, He enacts the divine alignment. Trust God's sovereign process. He knows exactly what He is doing, and He is never, ever late. While God is working behind the scenes preparing this beautiful reunion, remember that you also have a part to play in your own preparation. The resource I mentioned in the first pinned comment can be a powerful tool on your journey of inner transformation and healing. As you wait, live your life with joy, purpose, and wholeness. Do not get obsessed with checking social media or constantly creating scenarios in your mind about the when and how of the reunion. That only robs you of your peace and does absolutely nothing to speed things up. Instead, invest deeply in yourself. Nurture your relationship with God. Pursue your long-held dreams. Deepen your friendships. Find ways to serve others right where you are. Simply grow as a person. Because when the reunion finally happens, you need to arrive whole, fulfilled, and at peace, not desperate for someone else to make you feel complete. The absolute best preparation for the reunion is becoming the best version of yourself in God. While you are doing that essential work, God is doing the same work on that person. He is working on both of you simultaneously. And when both are finally ready, He will open the door. Not a minute before, not a second later, but at the exact, perfect moment. And it will be magnificent. It will flow with grace and ease. You will look back and finally comprehend why you had to wait, why the separation had to hurt, why God didn't rush the process when you begged Him to, because He knew that if it had happened earlier, you both would not have been ready. The same destructive patterns would have simply repeated themselves. But now, in maturity, in healing, in perfect timing, this new union will last. It will glorify God, and it will be a powerful testimony. The reunion is closer than you can possibly imagine. I know deep in my spirit that it is near, much nearer than you think, not because I have a specific date for you, but because the Holy Spirit confirms that the profound work of preparation is in its final stages. And when it happens, you will undoubtedly remember this very message. You will recall that God found you at the precise moment you needed this message the most, and with tears of joy in your eyes and a deep peace in your heart, you will whisper the words of Psalm 118:23. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. You will look at that person, no longer with the desperation of someone who needs them, but with the peaceful recognition of God's hand in every single detail. And they will look at you with the same deep reverence. You will both build something entirely new, not on the shattered ruins of what was before, but on the solid, sacred foundation of what God built in each of you during the time of separation. If you feel there is still lingering pain, insecurity about your worth, or doubts about how to sustain this true love, know that you don't have to navigate this alone. The guide mentioned in the first pinned comment is there to help you on this final leg of your journey. So today, I urge you to do something profoundly simple. Take a long, deep breath and consciously allow the peace of God to flood your heart. Stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Stop worrying. Stop anxiously counting the days. Instead, live each day with genuine gratitude and joyful purpose, knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that God is in absolute control and that He is utterly faithful. Philippians 4:6-7 commands us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds." You do not need to know the exact when. You do not need to see every step of the way. Your only necessity is to trust that God is conducting everything with flawless perfection. And He is. The reunion is not a distant, faint dream. It is a spiritual reality manifesting at the right time. It is a heavenly decree in active progress. It is a solemn promise being fulfilled for you right now in the invisible realm. Hold on to your peace. Continue to live your beautiful life. Trust His steadfast hand. You will get back together. And when it comes, and it will come, you will know that every tear was worth it. Every anxious night and every day of patient waiting was worth the effort, because what God does, He does with excellence. Your story is not concluding. In fact, the most beautiful and lasting chapter is about to begin, not with fear, not with anxiety, but with peace, with faith, and with the quiet certainty that God never, ever fails. When the reunion happens, you'll look back and smile, understanding that God knew exactly what He was doing all along. Rest, trust, and wait in peace. The reunion is coming, and it will be in God's absolute perfect timing.